Dear students, I am Mahesh Javalkar from Maratha Polytechnic. Today I am posting my next video on electronic circuits, analog electronic circuits, in which I'll be covering about transistor biasing. Okay, so the topic for this presentation today is biasing of transistor. And here the transistor which we are going to use will be BJT. So bijunction transistor. Okay. BJT, bijunction transistor. Now this transistor we are going to bias, and why we have to bias it, what is the importance of biasing, what is the need of biasing. Okay. Then after biasing, what do you mean by output or characteristics of a transistor, and then what do you mean by a DC load line, then what do you mean by operating point Q, what do you mean by stabilization factor, and what do you mean by voltage divider network for biasing. Okay, so all these points we are going to see in this presentation. So first we have to remember what we studied in semiconductor devices about bijunction transistor. So just to know about it, so if you see bijunction transistor, or it is also called as bipolar transistor, you can have two types in that. You can have NPN and you can have PNP. Okay, you can have NPN and PNP. The symbol of NPN will be like this. Symbol of NPN will be like this. So here you are having emitter, here you are having base, and here you are having collector. The symbol of PNP will be like this. Okay, so here you are having emitter, here you are having base, and here you are having collector. Okay, now with the layer type diagram, if you want to draw NPN, you can show that NPN looks like this. This will be N type of semiconductor, this will be P type of semiconductor, and you will have a N type of semiconductor. This will be emitter, this will be base, and this will be collector. Similarly, you can show PNP also. So in PNP also you can show that the three layers, emitter, base, and collector. So emitter, PNP. So this will be emitter, this will be base, and this will be a collector. Okay. So in this way, we have studied in semiconductor devices about what do we mean by bijunction transistor, BJT, or it is also called as bipolar transistor. It is called as bijunction because if you see the layer diagram here, here you will get junction 1 and here you will get junction 2. Same is the case with PNP. Here you will get junction 1 and here you will get junction 2. So this is a junction between P and N type of material. This is also a junction between P and N type of material. So here also you can see this is a junction of between P and N type of material, and this is also a junction of P and N type of semiconductor. Okay. So like this, because it is having two junctions, it is called as bijunction. And in that we have NPN and PNP. And all the next points what we are going to speak, we can speak for NPN also, we can speak for PNP also, both means the same, but we'll take always the reference of NPN transistor. Okay. Then next we'll see. Now in this presentation, I'm going to tell you about what is biasing. Okay. Then need for biasing, then DC load line, then what is operating point, what is stability factor, and what is voltage divider bias of BJT. Okay. Now this is a very important concept to know what is biasing, because only if you know biasing, then only you can go to know what is an amplifier with respect to BJT. Okay. So here the first question asked is what is biasing. Okay. Now it is the reason what we are told here is in order to operate transistor in the desired region. Okay. See this sentence, in order to operate the transistor in the desired region. When we say desired region means transistor can be operated in three regions. One is called as saturation region, one is called as a cutoff region, and one is called as active region. Okay, this also you have studied in semiconductor devices. So saturation region, a cutoff region, and active region. If you want to use transistor as a switch, then you can use that transistor in saturation region and cutoff region. Saturation it is on, cutoff it is off. If you want to use the transistor as an amplifier, then you should see that it is used in the active region. Okay, and all these three regions you will understand once you know the output characteristics of the transistor. Okay, so input characteristics and output characteristics also you have studied in semiconductor devices. Okay, so here you have to concentrate on the output characteristic of transistor. Okay, now again, to go to see what is biasing, in order to operate transistor in the desired region means whether you want to operate it in saturation, active, or cutoff region. So for amplifiers we operate it in active region. Okay, in order to operate transistor in the desired region, we have to apply, okay, this is very important, we have to apply external DC voltage, external DC voltage of correct polarity. So this sentence is very important here. External DC voltages of a correct polarity and magnitude to the two junctions of the transistor. This is called biasing of transistor. This is called biasing of transistor. Okay, now here if you see, number one, if you speak about active region, okay, active region in which the transistor can be operated. Okay, now in that case, if you take a transistor, here, say for example we take a NPN transistor. Okay, so here we'll take a NPN transistor. Okay, this is junction 1 and this is junction 2. Okay, so the first junction between emitter and base should be forward biased, and the second junction between base and collector should be reverse biased. Okay, so the first junction, this junction is forward biased and this junction is reverse biased. So you know the definition of forward bias and reverse bias from semiconductor devices when we studied diode. Okay, semiconductor diode. Okay, now if the N type of semiconductor is connected to the N type of battery polarity, and if P is connected to P type of battery polarity, then it is called as positive or forward biasing. Okay, similarly, if N type semiconductor is connected to negative polarity of the battery and P type is connected to, sorry, N type is connected to positive polarity of battery and P type is connected to negative polarity of battery, opposite, then it is called as reverse biasing. Okay, so here we see what is active region. So in active region, one thing you have to remember is the first junction will be forward biased and the second junction will be reverse biased. Okay, similarly when you study the saturation region, second one, if you see the saturation region, when you want to operate the transistor in saturation region, then the first junction should be forward biased and the second junction also is forward biased. Okay, similarly for cutoff region, the first junction is reverse bias and the second junction is reverse biased. Okay, so the first operation, that is active region, is used for transistor to be used as an amplifier. Okay, a transistor be used as an amplifier. The next two, that is saturation and cutoff, will be used if you want to use transistor as a switch, because in saturation it will become on and in cutoff it can become off, so it can be used as a switch. Okay, now in this, the most important application will be amplifier also or switch also. Okay, now what application you want to use, for that application that particular junction should be correctly biased. Okay, so most of the time we speak this with respect to amplifier. So if you want to operate it in active region, the base emitter junction should be forward biased and base collector junction should be reverse biased. Now, to make this forward bias and reverse bias, you have to apply external DC voltage, external DC voltage through a battery. Okay, and that DC voltage, depending on the polarity what you're connecting to the semiconducting material and the magnitude of the voltage, the junctions will be properly biased. Forward bias or reverse bias, or forward bias or reverse bias, reverse bias. So if you want active region, the first junction between emitter and base should be forward bias, and the second junction between base and collector should be reverse bias. Okay. Now this is the application of external DC voltage. This is not the signal. This is not the signal which you want to apply. Now, say in case of amplifier in active region, we have to apply the DC voltage to the transistor so that junction J1 between emitter and base is forward bias and junction J2 between base and collector is reverse bias. Okay, now after application of this DC voltage, then you apply the signal to this transistor. Then the transistor will see that that particular signal is amplified. It is becoming stronger. It can strengthen it. Okay, so before the proper application of that transistor, the transistor to work, you have to apply certain external DC voltage, and that is called as biasing of transistor. Okay, then next we'll see why do we need this biasing. Now the answer was in that only. Now if you want to use the transistor in any of the three region, whether it is active region or whether it is saturation region or whether it is cutoff region. So mostly we speak about active region because I want to use it for the application as an amplifier. Then my first junction between emitter and base should be forward biased, and my second junction between base and collector should be reverse bias. Okay, if I maintain this, it is called as active mode, active region, and this forward bias and reverse bias will be done by external DC voltage, external DC voltage. Okay, external DC voltage. Now, need for biasing. Bias establishes the DC operating point for proper linear operation of an amplifier. Okay. Then here we are speaking about a concept called as operating point. Okay. Operating point Q we will be defining afterwards. That operating point Q should be in active region if you want to use the transistor as an amplifier. Okay, and this you can show on the output characteristics of transistor when you intersect the load line. When you intersect the load line with the output characteristics of transistor, then you can get the operating points, and that operating point will tell you in which mode or in which region the transistor is operating, whether it is operating in active region, whether it is operating in saturation region, or whether it is operating in cutoff region. Okay, so again we'll see the statement here. Bias establishes the DC operating point for proper linear operation of an amplifier. If an amplifier is not biased with correct DC voltages on the input and output, it can go into saturation or cutoff when an input signal is applied. Okay, so if you don't give the proper DC voltage and if you give an alternating input signal to the transistor, then the transistor will alternatingly go into saturation and cutoff, on off, on off, on off. Okay, it will not go into a proper mode of working, because if you want to use it as an amplifier and if you want to use it in active mode, in active region, then the first junction should be forward bias and the second junction should be reverse bias in spite of variation in the input signal from positive to negative. And for this you require the correct extra DC voltages which you have to first apply to the transistor in the absence of signal. Okay, so that is what makes biasing, makes the transistor to work in a proper region. Okay, that is the operating point of the transistor remains in a proper region. appropriate region. Okay, then only you can use it for that application. Clear? That is why we need biasing. Then we'll see the output characteristics of transistor. This is the output characteristics of BJT, what you have studied in the semiconductor devices, output characteristics of BJT. Okay, so you can take an NPN transistor here. So here you can see this is a graph drawn between voltage between collector and emitter, that is the output voltage. So this is the output voltage versus a current which is IC current, that is collector current. This was output current for various values of input current. So this is base current, this is input current, base current. So various values IB1, IB2, IB3 and IB4 you can see. Okay, so IB4 is a small one, IB3 is little more than that, IB2 is more than that, and IB1 is more than that. So here you have drawn, and here you can see if you start initially with a base current IB4, okay, the current will increase little linearly. The current IC will increase little linearly as the voltage between collector and emitter is increasing. But after that, it will remain constant. It will remain constant with the value of what was IB4. Approximately to that only, IC will remain constant. IC will remain constant. Okay. Again, that IC can increase from here to here if you increase the base current, the input current from IB4 to IB3. Again, that IC can increase from here to here if you increase the base current from IB3 to IB2. Again, that IC can increase from here to here if you increase the base current from IB2 to IB1. So as you increase the base current, the output current, a collector current, okay, as you increase the input base current, the output, a collector current will go on varying. Okay. So here, if you see in this graph, this is a graph of output characteristics. Okay. Now here in this graph, this region will be called as your saturation region. Saturation region. Okay. So this region you can call it as saturation region. Saturation region. Okay. Similarly, this region, when there is no much current flowing, there is only a small leakage current flowing, this region, okay, this region will be called as, if you take this a small leakage current flowing, when IB is equal to 0, this is when IB 5, when it is IB is equal to 0, okay. So this is, there is a small leakage current flowing. This region will be called as cutoff region. Okay, and this complete region where you can faithfully operate the transistor for faithful amplification as an amplifier. So this region will be called as your active region. Okay, so active region. So now you can see saturation region, cutoff region, and active region. This we have already studied in semiconductor devices when we studied the output characteristics of BJT. Okay, and this can be obtained even if the signal is not applied, only if your biasing voltage also is applied. Okay, now here this is the output characteristics which you can have even when the signal is applied also. Okay, and here we are going to see the three regions, what is called as active region, saturation region, and cutoff region. If you want to use transistor as a switch, then you should use saturation region and cutoff region. In saturation region, both the junctions will be forward bias and transistor will remain in on position. In a cutoff region, both the junctions will be reverse bias and transistor will remain in off position. And in active region, the first junction between emitter and base will be forward bias, and the second junction between base and collector will be reverse bias, and it can be used as an amplifier, and that is your active region. Okay. Similarly, now we will go to see this circuit. Now in this circuit, you can see this is the base of the transistor. So this is the base of the transistor. This is the collector of the transistor and this is the emitter of the transistor. We have shown a PNP transistor here, PNP here. Okay. Now this is base, this is collector and this is emitter. Now the transistor is connected in which configuration? It is connected in common emitter configuration. Okay. We can have common base, common collector and common emitter. Now here we are taking common emitter configuration. So here you can see emitter is common to both input and output circuit. So here you can see this is your input circuit, this is your input circuit, and this is your output circuit. Okay. Now the voltage applied is VCC, this is VCC at the output, and the voltage applied at the input is VBB. Okay. Now here, if you concentrate on this output loop, this loop if you concentrate, okay, this loop if you concentrate, okay. Now here the voltage whatever is there as between collector and emitter, okay, voltage between collector and emitter, that is VCE, can be given as, okay, the voltage source VCC minus the current drop IC into RC. So this IC is going to go here. This is IC and this is RC. IC into RC. Now this equation is very important for us. This equation is very important for us of the output loop. Now this is, we are speaking when there is no signal applied. Here we are showing that no signal is applied. Only DC voltage. This DC voltage is there and this DC voltage is there. There is no alternating quantity here, no signal. So here you will have no signal. So no signal here. This is not there. Okay. So when you are having no signal, when you are applying only the DC voltages and when the base emitter junction here now we have made as forward bias and emitter collector junction we have made as reverse bias. So here you can see base, that is PNP, base N, okay, base N is connected to the negative of the batteries. Okay, so it is forward bias. So here we are speaking about forward bias. Okay, now once it is forward bias, once a base current develops, then a collector current will automatically develop. Okay, now this is forward biasing. This is you're making to transistor work in active mode. Base emitter junction is forward bias. Similarly, if you see PNP, a collector P is connected here to the negative of the battery. So this is reverse bias. So here the second junction will be reverse bias. So here you can see forward bias and reverse bias. And then this is what you require to make the transistor work in active mode to be used as an amplifier. Okay. And if you see in the output loop, you will get this equation. Voltage between collector and emitter VCE is equal to the applied voltage VCC minus ICRC. Now this is an important equation. This is an important equation if you want to know what is a load line. Okay, what is a load line? If you want to draw a load line in the output characteristics graph, if you're having a graph like this between VCE and IC, then you can have a point in the saturation region, you can have a point in the cutoff region, and you can join both this point. This will be called as a load line. This will be called as a load line. This is a point in the saturation region. This is a point in the cutoff region. Okay, and this will be called as load line. Now, when there is no input signal, if you're obtaining this line only because of the applied DC voltages, then it will be called as DC load line. This will be called as DC load line. So you should know now what is DC load line. Okay, and once you get the DC load line, okay, so here if you show, this is the DC load line. Okay, this is your VCE and this is your IC. Okay, and if you show the output characteristics here, which is going, then the point of intersection here can be called as operating point Q. Point of intersection will be called as operating point Q. Okay, this is what we are going to study in our next points here. So basically now you should know about this circuit. In this circuit, we are not applying any signal. We are applying only DC voltages, and the DC voltages are applied such that the base emitter junction is forward bias and base collector junction is reverse bias. Okay, and then we come to the output loop and we form an equation that voltage between emitter and collector VCE is equal to VCC minus RC. Okay, and that will be important for us to plot a load line. Okay, and once you get the load line, and if you intersect that load line with the output characteristics of transistor, you will get the operating point of the transistor and you will understand in which region the transistor is operating. Because to be used as an amplifier, it should be perfectly or appropriately operated. It will be appropriately operated in active region only. Okay. Then we'll see the definition of load line. If you write a note for that, as I have told you, when a value for the maximum possible collector current is considered, that point will be present on the y-axis. Okay, maximum possible collector current IC will be on the y-axis, which is nothing but the saturation point. As well, when a value for the maximum possible collector emitter voltage is considered, that is VCE, that point will be present on the x-axis, which is the cutoff point. When a line is drawn joining these 2 points, such a line can be called as load line. This is called because it symbolizes the output at the load. Okay. Now here, one more statement we can make. If this load line is drawn only when DC biasing given to the transistor, but no input signal is applied, then such a load line is called as DC load line. This is very important. We should know what is a DC load line. So in absence of the signal, when you are applying only the biasing voltages, DC biasing voltages to the transistor, in that case, what load line you get, okay, on the graph of VCE versus IC, that will be called as DC load line. Okay. Whereas the load line drawn under the conditions when an input signal is applied with the DC voltages, then that will be called as AC load line. Okay. So now we, in our syllabus here, we want to concentrate on DC load line. Okay. So DC load line is a load line drawn when only DC biasing voltages are applied to the transistor, but no signal is applied. That is called as DC load line. Okay. Then we'll go to see. Here we have shown the load line. So here you can see this is a load line. Now this is a point A, which is called as a saturation point, and this is a point B, which is called as cutoff point. Okay, cutoff point, and this is your load line. This is your load line. Okay. Now if you want to speak about what is DC load line, okay, if you want to speak about what is DC load line, then you have to remember the equation what we had taken. The equation what we had taken was VCE is equal to VCC minus ICRC. Okay, VCE is equal to VCC minus RCRC. Okay. Now here, if you want to know what is maximum collector current, if you are having maximum collector current, then in that case here the voltage between collector emitter will become 0. Okay, so this has to become 0 is equal to VCC minus ICRC. Okay, or we can write it as VCC is equal to ICRC, or we can write it as IC is equal to VCC upon RC. VCC upon RC. This is the first equation for IC. So here this point A is nothing but VCC upon RC. Okay. Then you take the same equation again. VCE is equal to VCC minus ICRC. Okay. And now I want the maximum point of VCE, this point of VCE. And now in that case, IC is equal to 0. Now here IC will be equal to 0. VCE is equal to VCC minus 0 into RC. Okay. Minus 0 into RC. So here if you see, minus 0 into RC. So here if you see, if you put this will become 0, then this equation will be VC is equal to VCC. So VC is equal to VCC. This point B will be VCC. Okay. Now if you join the point A and point B, then that will be called as a load line. And this line, when you get without the input signal by applying only the DC voltages to the transistor, then it will be called as DC load line. Okay, now it will be called as DC load line. So this saturation point and cutoff point, point A and point B, can be replaced like this. So point A will be VCC upon RC and point B will be VCC. Okay, so this is where you have shown the output characteristics. Now these are the output characteristics of transistor for a graph between VCE and IC, and this is the load line. This is the load line. Okay, now wherever the load line intersects with the output characteristics, that will be called as operating points. This will be called as operating point. Q1, Q2, you can take it as Q3. Okay, this will be operating point, and you have to decide where you have to operate your transistor for a particular application. Clear? Then we'll go to see what do you mean by operating point. Now operating point is also called as Q point. It is the correct biasing point for a bipolar transistor, whether it is NPN or PNP. It generally lies between two extremes of operation with respect to it being either fully on, that is saturation, or fully off, that is cutoff along its load line. This central operating point is also called as quiescent point, or it is also called as Q point in short. Okay, so this operating point is nothing but, as I've told you in the last slide, that it is the intersection point of the output characteristics and the load line. So here you can see Q2, Q1 and Q3. So all these are in the active region. These are in the active region. Okay, these are in the active region because here you have saturation region. Here you are having saturation region, and here you are having a cutoff region. This is your a cutoff region here. So here you are having a cutoff region. Okay, so we don't want to operate the transistor in saturation or cutoff if I want to use it for the application of amplifier. So for the application of amplifier, I want to use it in active region. This is the region. Okay, now in this region I can get this operating point, I can get this operating point, and I can get this operating point, and out of these three, center operating point which will be suitable so that my alternating quantity, whatever I give as the input, will be amplified at the output without any clipping. There will be no clipping of the waveform in amplification, so it will not get cut here or it will not get cut here. Okay, so that's why I should operate it properly, so that this DC voltage will see that the applied input AC signal is properly amplified and the waveform shape remains same at the output without any clipping. That is why the operating point Q will be important. Okay, so this is what the definition we have seen for the operating point Q. Okay, now operating point, the load line when drawn over the output characteristics curve makes a contact at a point called as operating point. That is what we have shown when the load line intersects the output characteristics. If you see here, this will be the output characteristics between VCE and IC. This you can draw a load line between point A and B, and here you can show output characteristics. So this point of intersection will be called as Q. This point of intersection will be called as Q, which is the operating point or the Q point. Okay, then here you can see that it is the load line where this you have shown as a load line. So here you are having your load line. This is your load line. Okay, and this is your output characteristics, and the point of intersection over here, it is called as operating point Q. Okay, operating point Q. So this is what is operating point Q is. Then we'll go to see what do we mean by stabilization. The process of making operating point Q independent of temperature variations. The process of making operating point Q independent of temperature changes or variations in transistor parameter is known as stabilization. That is, you're stabilizing the transistor. You're seeing that the operating point Q is in such a position that even if the temperature changes, the transistor characteristics will not change. Okay, that is what stabilization means. And in stabilization, what is stability factor? The rate of change of collector current, okay, with respect to the collector leakage current is called as stability factor, and it is denoted by S. So here if you see, if you write stability factor S is equal to, it will be rate of change of collector current upon rate of change of leakage current, collector leakage current at at constant at constant base current IB and and the amplification factor in common emitter configuration, that is beta. Okay, so this is your stability factor. The stability factor indicates the change in collector current IC due to the change in the collector leakage current ICO. Okay, now this is the definition of stability factor. Okay, in stabilization. Then we'll go to see what do we mean by voltage divider bias method. Now, as we have told in our first definition of biasing, the application of DC voltages to the transistor so that both the junctions are properly biased. Okay, so that is called as biasing. Okay, now in that we have three methods, and out of those three methods, the voltage divider bias method is the very popular method, and it is used in many applications. Okay, so here if you see the note on that, among all the methods of providing biasing and stabilization, the voltage divider bias method is the most prominent one. Here, two resistors R1 and R2 are employed, which are connected to VCC and provide biasing. The resistor RE employed in the emitter provides stabilization. The name voltage divider comes from the voltage divider found by R1 and R2. The voltage drop across R2 forward biases the base emitter junction. This causes the base current and hence collector current flow in the zero signal conditions. Okay, whenever there is no signal also, because of the application of DC voltage, collector current flows. The figure below shows the circuit of voltage divider bias method. So this is the figure which shows the voltage divider bias method. So here the transistor is connected in your common emitter configuration. Here it is connected in common emitter configuration, and the applied voltage here you can see commonly it is VCC. VCC is applied. Now this VCC makes a current to flow here, and that current flows between these two resistors R1 and R2, which are connected at the center point to the base of the transistor. This is the base of the transistor. This is the collector of the transistor, and this is the emitter of the transistor. Okay. Now here, as this current flows because of VCC, this current is flowing because of VCC. It will flow because of VCC. Now this current will develop a voltage across R2. Now that voltage will be your plus minus voltage. That voltage will see that this base, which is in NPN transistor, NPN, this P type of base is connected to positive of a battery, okay, and N type is connected to negative of a battery. Now this shows that this junction is forward biased, and we want this junction to be forward biased because it should develop a collector current so that amplification can take place. Okay, similarly, at the cost of the gain, there will be a resistor here, RE, which will develop a voltage VE. Now, this development is important so that the transistor is stabilized. It is not varying its output current, okay, in spite of variation in the temperature. Clear? Now, these three are resistors, R1, R2, and RE, in which R1 and R2 are used for voltage divider. It is dividing the VCC voltage for proper biasing of the transistor. Okay, so here R1 and R2, this R1, and this R2 are used for biasing of transistor. That is, you are applying proper DC voltage for the transistor to work in a particular mode. Say I want to make it work in active mode. So the first junction should be forward bias and the second junction should be reverse bias. So that can be obtained by taking this voltage VCC, and by dividing that voltage between R1 and R2 and giving it to the transistor. So these are biasing resistors R1 and R2, whereas a resistor RE is used for stabilization. This is used for stabilization. Okay. So in this way, this type of circuit is called as voltage divider biasing network. Okay, students. Now here in this presentation, students, we have seen what is biasing, Why do we require biasing? Okay. What are the output characteristics of BJT, which we have already studied in semiconductor devices? Then after that, what is a load line? Then in that, what is a DC load line? And what happens when the output characteristics intersects with DC load line? You will get something called as operating point. That operating point will tell you in which region the transistor is operating. Then we have seen what is stabilization. Then we saw what was stability factor. Okay, and then we saw a prominent circuit of biasing, which is called as voltage divider biasing, which is used in many applications for a transistor. Okay, so where you use a resistor R1 and R2 for biasing. So that is a network, that is a circuit which is used for applying the proper DC voltages to the transistor so that it is biased properly so that we can use that transistor in a particular mode for a particular application. Okay, so these are all points we have seen in this presentation. Okay, thank you, students.